When Isambard Kingdom Brunel built the Great Western Railway in 1838, the two viaducts he built across the Thames at Gatehampton in Goring and at nearby Molesford in the Goring Gap are now listed by Historic England for their special architectural merit and elegant design. Nearly 180 years later, these two bridges and the beautiful and highly protected landscape of the Thames Valley between them are subject to the most devastating visual assault that has ever occurred in a designated area of outstanding natural beauty. Brunel made a painstaking effort to design a modern railway which was sympathetic to its environment, but Network Rail, in its rush to electrify the Great Western Main Line and reduce costs, is managing to severely damage this most spectacular landscape. Concerned local residents joined together with parish councillors and conservationists, and with the support of local MP John Howell, are trying to protect their precious environment and get Network Rail to recognise their statutory duty to protect it too.
I work for the Chilterns Conservation Board. We are a statutory body set up by Parliament in 2004, and our job is to care for the Chilterns and to help conserve and enhance it and increase understanding and enjoyment of it. And so our role is to identify threats to the Chilterns and try and do something about it, and that's why we've got involved with this, because we're very concerned about the impact it's going to have on the Chilterns when this project's complete.
The Action Group was formed in early 2015 in response to Network Rail's electrification programme, and when we realised exactly what it meant for this area of the countryside. Basically, we found they were imposing big, hideous metal structures on this area when we wanted them to consider alternative designs which are more sympathetic.
The design that they're putting forward is no different to the design that's being used in areas of the line which are arguably, which are less sensitive, areas closer to London, closer to urban areas. They need to bring forward something very different and very special for this area of sensitivity, and they simply haven't done that.
Following the government's criticism of Network Rail's plans to modernise 3 major routes at the same time as being untenable due to missed targets and cost overruns, the Transport Secretary paused the work on the Trans-Pennine and Midlands projects and told Network Rail to concentrate on the Great Western route and getting that right.
We don't believe they're getting it right. We believe that the infrastructure they're installing here, as you can see behind me, is wrong for the area, and there are more suitable designs available elsewhere on their network. We just want them to go away, design something specifically for this area that is less visually intrusive and make it fit with the surrounding countryside.
We're at Hartslock Nature Reserve here, overlooking the Goring Gap, a very beautiful spot, one of the jewels of the Chilterns Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty. And here you can see very clearly the railway and the electrification equipment going in, the upright vertical poles and soon to be the heavy steel horizontal pieces, the gantries that will be supporting the wires for the electrification. And it's obvious to see how this is already causing damage to the Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty, and how once it's fully installed the impact will be much greater.
The Chilterns AONB is protected by law, and Network Rail has a legal duty to protect it, but it's not modifying its standard metal goalpost design in the 2 miles where it passes through the Goring Gap. Network Rail, in fact, is not mitigating the design anywhere in the AONB, as it doesn't seem to recognise it as a special, highly protected area.
So Network Rail have permitted development rights to carry out this work, but what they seem to be doing is just pressing ahead without any due regard for the interest and the bodies that actually control and resolve any issues in relation to the AONB. And let's not forget, the AONB has got the same status as a national park, so it's a really important designation.
It is ironic that while Network Rail is actively damaging this AONB landscape with its unnecessary bulky overhead infrastructure, another major utility, the National Grid, is taking its environmental responsibilities very seriously. It is currently spending £500 million improving landscapes in AOMBs. Overhead power lines and pylons are coming down, and they are burying the cables underground. In fact, the National Grid buried its cables in the Goring Gap decades ago because of its special environmental status. So the National Grid is clearly getting it right, but Network Rail is failing to do so.
So the Secretary of State recently said that Network Rail must get it right in relation to the Great Western Electrification. And getting it right must be about having a different design to the one that's being currently implemented. They've got to reflect the sensitivities of this area, and that's what getting it right is all about.
Network Rail is able to do this work without planning permission because it enjoys permitted development rights to carry out works to the railway. And that means that lots of the usual checks and processes that would take place through the planning system aren't happening here. However, there is a separate piece of legislation, the Countryside and Rights of Way Act 2000, and this is all about protecting the area of outstanding natural beauty. Section 85 of this sets out that public bodies and statutory undertakers like Network Rail have a duty to have regard to the purposes of conserving and enhancing the areas of outstanding natural beauty. So if we think about that, conserving and enhancing, conserving, keeping things the same, or enhancing, making them better, these are the sorts of changes that we're happy to see in the Chilterns. However, this project, I think we would really struggle to see how this is either conserving, keeping it the same, or enhancing, making it better.
But it's not just the design issue where Network Rail is failing. There is a second major shortcoming: proper and timely consultation.
We believe that Network Rail isn't getting it right in several ways. Firstly, they're not getting it right in the design they're using in this area. Secondly, they have a duty to consult properly with the local authorities. They clearly haven't done that. The parish councils haven't been consulted in time, and the designs haven't been made available to them in time for them to make sensible comment.
Even Network Rail's own environmental report it commissioned from Atkins stated that there will be serious and permanent adverse visual impact and degradation of the landscape, but it seems to be ignoring its own findings and is carrying on regardless.
That same consultant's report promised that at the detailed design stage, specific consultation would be undertaken with the areas of outstanding natural beauty organisations, but that just hasn't happened. We heard from them in 2013 and then nothing until installation had begun, and we were contacted by residents concerned about the intrusive poles going in. So rather than making any concessions to the area of outstanding natural beauty and making sure that the designs in this area were less intrusive, it feels like we've been forgotten. And in fact, the designs for this stretch, the test track between Reading and Didcot, which contains two areas of outstanding natural beauty, are actually getting not just the standard design, but the worst possible design, the heaviest 4-track steel structure over the railway. And I'm sure that they could do better, and I'm sure that we could work together with them to find a solution that would fit better with this particular landscape.
So, the Save the Goring Gap campaign is at a watershed. Unless Network Rail has a last-minute crisis of conscience, or the rail regulator steps in to ensure the law is adhered to, the beautiful landscape in the Goring Gap will suffer, and unnecessarily suffer, from the irreparable damage in the name of modernisation. The Victorians managed to modernise sympathetically, but Network Rail seems to be too busy to consult and listen to anyone other than the managers who are driving the timetable to complete the project as quickly and as cheaply as possible. It's still not too late to help make Network Rail modify its design. Just visit the Save the Goring Gap website, where there are a number of things you can do to make a difference. Please help if you can. Thank you.